Dude, I'm getting texted by some random right now. I'm Tina. What's your name? Married? I'm just type married.
No, it could be a client or an agent.
See, I just need to protect myself. If you don't know what my name is, you shouldn't be texting me. Am I wrong in thinking this?
Maybe she can't remember. People they call all the time. They're like, someone told me to call you. I can't remember who. Can't remember your name. I don't know why I'm calling.
Okay, we're going to move on. I'm Josh Sigman.
And I'm Brynn Rouse.
I'm a mortgage guy with a passion for money, business, and elevating my game. Brynn is my co-host. She's my friend and marketing director for my mortgage team.
That's right. I'm a marketing girl, a mama of 3, and wife of 1. And like Josh, elevating life, business, and relationships, well, it's my jam.
This season's topic, elevate your game.
What do you want?
Do you want to push personal limits, find joy, be more present?
Be a better parent, have a sexier marriage, make more money, save more money, start your own business, develop a hobby, or strengthen important relationships?
Impact the world, be a better boss, or create a stronger business? Then you are ready to elevate.
And this is the place to do it.
Are you ready? Sigman Sense Season 3, elevate your game. All right, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Sigman Sense. We are working on elevating our game in all areas, and today we're going to work on elevating your joy. But before we do that, we need to make sure that you guys are liking and subscribing and sharing and all the fun stuff.
I'm so proud of you for remembering these things. Look at you.
You just give me notes, and I just follow the script.
Just click the button right here.
Click the button right here.
To subscribe, and the little bell will go off.
I don't actually know what that means, but do it. So we're talking about elevating our joy right now, and this is another part of our series. And if you missed the last episode, we were talking about elevating your small business. And over the next couple months, we'll be working on all different areas of life. But when you really, what I think about and what we spoke about in general is that throughout the series, I do think there needs to be a yin and yang, because I think people get so focused in one area at the expense of all others. And so there is a lot of truth that there's seasons, right? There's seasons that we need to go all in on business if you're really trying to grow a business so that it gets off the ground, so that you don't go out of business before it gets started, right? And whether it's in sports or in a marriage or whatever, there's always those seasons. But the problem often is, especially with anyone that's driven, and most people that are education-based, learning, growing-based, people like that watch podcasts, they are driven in an area.
Our beautiful
right,
audience.
Our audience is typically driven in an area to improve or to master or just to learn, right? And so one of the interesting things that we all know, and we've been told by our dad and our granddad or whoever, is that money doesn't buy happiness. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of rich people that are very unhappy. Yeah. And all that stuff, and I don't need to argue. Having money certainly buys options, and
it buys options.
Options can certainly lead to happiness as well.
But there's also people that don't need a darn thing to be happy.
There's lots of studies around indigenous people on random islands that have a happier scale than people that live in a high rise, right?
Yeah, totally.
So what we want to talk about today is elevating joy outside of the office specifically, right? Yeah. And I think this is an area that you're really good at. I think
this reminds me of the movie Inside Out.
Oh yeah,
Joy. She's so cute. She's like.
Is that cartoon? Yes. The different colors. What color is Joy?
I don't know. What color is Joy?
Yellow. It's not green.
She's so.
Green's
envy.
Envy.
Green is anger.
No, envy. No. Green with envy.
Green with envy. Yes.
Yep.
And red with anger.
Would be anger. Yep.
And the little sad one.
Blue.
She's so sad.
I haven't watched the movie in like 30 years, but it makes sense. So yeah, joy though. Joy is yellow. So let's talk about how do you elevate your joy outside the office. So where would you start? I'm curious.
Oh gosh, how do you elevate joy outside your office? Okay, so I think that you start with some of the same questions, right? Like what makes you happy? What makes you feel good? What actually relaxes you? That's a question I've been asking myself. I'm like, I don't even know what do I find relaxing. Like, so being intentional about
you really don't know that answer for yourself?
No.
Oh.
I think I have lots of versions.
I feel like this is gonna be therapy. Everyone stay tuned. Everyone watch. This is gonna be great.
I have lots of versions of it.
Yep.
And y'all will laugh and it'll sound dumb, but I really do find TikTok to be one of the happiest places on earth.
and that's the opposite in my world.
Then you're not looking and following the right people. So you get on there and oh my gosh, like I love dancing and there's so many great dancers and music. And then there's people that are just funny as shit and like make me laugh really hard. Those, that's really fun, right? And it's relaxing. So kind of identifying what it is that you can, like, what do you enjoy? But also, and that's more granular, but like, what do you want your life to look like, right? What do you want to be doing? What do you want to experience and all of those things? I think, if you think back, I always say, like, think back to when you were little and had visions of what your life would look like as an adult. What did it look like? My mom told me that I would say, when I grow up, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to work in a big office. I want to wear high heels and I want to carry a briefcase. Like, okay, it's pretty simple, right? So, what did you think about as a kid?
Interesting.
So
I'm a little bit the opposite, because TikTok is definitely the devil's den. In my world.
It's not. It's not.
In my world.
No, it's not. What has TikTok done to you lately?
So it's the opposite. It doesn't fulfill the interpersonal relationships I look for. Yeah. Like, to me, that's
yes, true.
Right.
It's not, I try not to TikTok in front of the kids.
Okay, that's good. Because I try to tell my kids you're not allowed on it.
Not me. I'm like, I need help. Can you help me with this, KK? Let's get on here.
So when I think about joy, the way I look at it is I work really, really, really hard. So I want to play really, really, really hard. And I find that if I can find a balance of both, then I'm usually in general in a great place. And so the basic.
I think that's where I struggle too. Is like I like to play hard, but like I also am like getting older and I need my rest. Wow.
Don't make fun of me for being old. So I want to define the best way I've defined joy, because I think it's important to start here. So happiness is externally based and joy is internally based. And I want to say that a second time because it's important to understand. So happiness is externally based. Joy is internally based. Happiness is typically
one more time. Literally
external is happiness. External. Joy is internal, right? So let me say why. Internal. You make me happy, or you make me sad, or you make me angry. It's an external thing, right? The results of this sales contest made me happy, or it didn't, right? Externally based.
It's transactional.
No, not even transactional. My wife can piss me off. That's external, right?
It's a transaction. She made you mad.
That's not a transaction. That's not. I don't want to diminish it to transaction. I think that it is how I respond to an external situation or event. Okay.
Short-lived.
As opposed to joy comes from within. I choose joy every day. Like, Dan's my business partner, and he literally in the sales meeting today said, I was going to ask Josh how his day started off, but I know the answer is always great. And he said that. And the reason is that every day I wake up, I literally assume that today's going to be the best day of my entire life. And I act that way because I know that joy comes from within. And so what I've learned over the years through a lot of therapy, is that
have you always been this way?
Right. No, I've not always been this way. Through a lot of therapy, I learned that if I'm going to wait for somebody else to make me happy, then I'm gonna have a miserable fucking life, right? Like if I have
something to add to my answer too.
Right. If the quality and outcome of my happiness in my life is based on the hopes and prayers that people around me's desire today is to make me happy, I'm gonna be disappointed often, right? And so, I think about that with how I approach my relationships at work, at home, with my friends. I want to bring the best version of myself to my wife, to my kids, to my friends, because I'm in a joyous place. And if they do the same, the alternate direction, we're going to probably get along just fabulously, right? When a friend is reliant on me to make the plans to make them happy, our friendship is probably not going to last long.
Do you ever feel like pressure to be like
I used to
entertain, like
not anymore. Nope. Used to.
Yeah.
And think about that, the pressure within a relationship, like a marriage or a dating, of it's one directional, like this person is needs you to make them happy. Screw that. That's going to be a long, miserable life.
Or like be the funny one. I don't know. It's so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, if you start with that idea that joy is internal, then no one can screw with it. No one can screw up your joy. Like you are either joyous or you're not. And so joy for me is found in gratitude.
That's what I was going to say. I forgot
Is that what
to
we're going to say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for me, joy is absolutely identified and found in gratitude. So it's looking for the best in people. It's what are you grateful for in your spouse? It's like, yes, your kid stole the car last night and made bad choices, but man, you're grateful that they were healthy and they got back in one piece and they didn't die and they didn't get arrested, right? Yeah. So, joy is that choice every day that we make. And in my opinion, it becomes every hour or every moment, because there's a lot of things in life that are going to not go your way that can rob you of your happiness if you allow it, right?
100%.
So.
Yes. So actually just right before we came into the studio, I was texting with my daughter, who's now 18, and I'm like, hey, you've seemed really off for the last couple of days. Like, what's going on? Are you good? Is something going on at school? Is it friends? And, she's just like, I'm just overwhelmed with, everything that's going on. I'm freaking out about graduation and, blah, 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 blah. And so my response was validation, because that's what I've learned in therapy. Is validate,
awesome.
Validate.
That's how they feel. That's what she means by it. Like,
yeah,
be validated, because whether you agree with it or not, that's how they feel.
Yeah, I know the feeling well. I said I know the feeling well, and it's no fun. So I know that it's, I understand why you're feeling, crummy right now. Be grateful for the day. One thing at a time. That's all you can focus on, mm-hmm. and then we will chat about the rest later. And my plan is just to kind of like let her unpack, right? Like just let her get it all out, and then I'm going to go back to gratitude. Like, hey, it's be grateful that your worry is graduation, not graduating. Right. Which hopefully that's the case.
Yeah, hopefully, right.
Hopefully that's the case.
Well, you're going to have a long night tonight. Good luck with that.
I mean. But yeah, I feel like that gratitude piece, I just cannot stress it enough. Yep. I just can't stress it enough. And it has to be conscious, and it has to be the answer to everything in my life. It really
so then how do you work on the joy as a key then, right? And so outside of like one thing you and I have both done over the years is like written down 100 things you're grateful for. It's something I've done as an exercise at least once a year. I know that you have like a gratitude box or something that your family does. What is it that you guys do?
During the holidays, it's a thank bank or a blessings bucket, depending on when it goes out. But yeah, it's every day.
Everyone has to write something down.
That they're thankful.
So it's about being intentional. Don't let it just hope it works out for you. If you're not naturally wired that way, you got to create some sort of game. But to me, the first step in being more joyous, as far as like how to control it outside the office place, is to take care of you first. Mm-hmm. Like no one's going to take care of you like you, and no one's the first person to forget taking care of you like you.
Right.
And so I really believe that the billion books around it, the Miracle Morning, every successful entrepreneur ever writes that the first couple hours, the early hours in the day are the best hours in the day, because no one can screw it up but you, no one can sleep in but you, no one's going to interrupt you but you. And so I really think that in order to have a joyous day, it really starts with like a really great morning routine, a really great one. So
that's so funny. So I have realized this. For me to have a really great joyous day comes all in preparation the night before.
The night before.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So maybe you're a night owl. So listen to Brynn if you're a morning person like me. And by the way, I was not a morning person my whole life until I read a book, decided to try it out, and just got up earlier and earlier and earlier. So I built the habit.
It's
just
not,
so you know.
Yeah, it's not about morning person or not. Although I'm not a morning person.
So what you're saying is,
you're right without saying it right. But like the way I overcome not being a morning person is by being really, really, really prepared for the day, which makes me feel.
Speaks to your personality.
Which makes me feel happy and joyous, and it makes the mornings like I'm ready for this shit.
That's interesting.
Look at all the prep.
Yeah, so for me, it's all a mindset game. So joy comes for me with doing really exhaustive physical activity first thing in the morning to like cleanse my soul for real. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been worked out by the same trainer for years and years and years, and I for sure know the damn exercise at this point. We've been doing them for years and years, and almost in the same order every couple weeks, like over and over and over. But the reason I do it is I want to go take orders, not think and just sweat.
Sure,
and
yeah.
Tony does a great job with me, and JB before him, and Rusty before him. But what I always told him was like, if I'm not in the mood to talk, please don't engage me.
Please
Like,
don't
just
talk
tell
to
me what
you.
to do,
Yeah.
make me work out to a point where I'm exhausted and sweating and can barely think about breathing. Because for me, I just want to, it's almost a form of meditation for me. Other people like to meditate. I like to because I love to absorb knowledge. So I like 15 to 30 minutes of reading in the morning. I think is really, really important for my morning routine. I do last probably 2-3 years now, I've been doing Bible verses for, a minute or two every morning. Just that extra minute or two just to get me grounded in my personal faith, I think is really important, which is an asterisk here. Like, if your life's not going well and you think that the hereafter doesn't exist, you're probably not going to be that joyous. If I mean, a little asterisk there. If you literally, no matter how bad it's been for a lot of people that have faith, whatever they believe in, whatever God they believe in, having some faith in something other than you is a healthy place and mindset to be, to bring joy to your life.
Oh, I heard such a good quote about that, and I can't remember what it is, but
We'll all wait, mystified. Why,
it's gonna be waiting for a while.
bated breath over here. Okay, cool. So my tactic then is the morning routine, whatever that is for you, but it goes back to taking care of you. And a lot of the whole piece for me, like, there's some silly things to say about, you go down the whole list, but just weight is a great example. When people feel good, they feel good. It's easier to feel good when you are whatever your personal vision of yourself is, right? So I don't think it's an ideal body weight. I don't think it's an ideal body fat. It's like, if you feel good in your skin, you're going to probably have a better day, right? So if you don't feel good in your skin, whatever that is, then improve in that area. I think it'll bring you a little bit more centeredness on a daily basis too, right?
I would agree with that big time. In that form, I mean, for the women out there, like, if there's nothing that let's see, how do you say this? Not having like not feeling good in an outfit, or not being able to like figure out what you're going to wear in the morning, having to change 30 times, like, will fuck up a day. Like, and then you're out the door with something that you're not comfortable in, and you're like, and you just don't feel good. So that's just a great example of, like, it's not weight or anything. It's you're not
feel good in your own skin.
Don't feel good, and it really derails everything.
It's amazing how that affects relationships too. Like, you got to feel good in your skin and to have a good, healthy sex life. I mean, that's just the truth.
That is the truth. Yes, it is. So, those are kind of more granular daily things, but also thinking outside, like, from a bigger scope is, having something to look forward to, like a vacation.
Love that.
Doesn't have to be a huge, expensive, extravagant vacation.
Couple days off.
Yep. What I have found from our family vacations is we come back a better, more in tune, know each other better, just have a deeper appreciation.
You always have done that, actually.
All of us, all 5 of us.
That's awesome.
And so that has become a really huge motivation.
Yep.
Like the family vacation must happen. It must go on, right? It's beautiful to watch the kids like get one-on-one time with each other, each individual, and then as a group. So, having something like that to look forward to, and kind of, what's it all for? Well, that moment is great. Projects are really fun, like just having, some sort of house project or something that you're working on together. Because I think for me, the joy comes from the unity as a family, because we're all going in a million directions most of the time. So stopping and being able to laugh and joke and poke fun of each other is just really joyous.
Family that plays together stays together.
I mean, that's what they say. My kids love games. Like, they love games. And so game nights are great. Or actually, not even game night. Like, Walker's really good about forcing us all to play a game together, and we can fit that in just about any time, unless it's past 10:30 when we get home. Like, we can definitely fill in a little game. So that goes to, like, we just listed off several ideas, but then first identifying like the feelings, right? Like when are you the happiest? Like what are the actions or what are the activities that you're doing when you are the most happy?
Yeah. And to me, it goes back to defining a good day. Like
that's exactly where I was hoping you would go. You took the bait.
I love it. There's lots of things that happen. Like, I'll tell you one of my negative traits, and I know you're like, there's many, Josh. I get that.
How did you narrow it down?
Right. So one of my negative traits is I have the ability to be a road rager. Now I control that urge because I understand I'll go to jail, and nothing good happens from road
Don't
raging.
you wish everybody had a phone in their car and you could dial the number
Right.
was their license plate, so you can call
Right.
and just
call them directly.
Yes.
That's what a great invention.
I know.
Yeah. Right.
I know.
So my point is that I know that's a negative thing about me, and I've probably honked one too many times, according to my wife, right?
Stand honkers.
But well, they deserved it for damn sure, just for the
Well,
record.
the person that deserved it had no idea the honk was for him, to be clear.
That's probably true. Just like the survey is never for them, either.
Correct.
Right? But my point is that then the simplicity of what defining what a good day is, and you brought up one of them, but for me, it's always if I learn something new, which I can control. I experience something new, which I can control, or I laugh uncontrollably, which most of the time I can control, then I have a good day. And so by simplifying my expectations of what a good day is, I do think there's something to that art, the art of simplification that brings you more joy. I believe that we can overcomplicate, over expect of people, over anticipate, like what I mean by that is, if I get to this point, then I'll be happy. If I get to this weight, then I'll be happy. If I get to blank, then I'll be happy. That's over anticipation, right? If you think about expectations of other people, once I'm married, then they'll change this habit. Nope, not going to change it ever. So by simplifying it down to the basic forms of like what really does make you happy in general, then or defining what that good day is, it helps you stay in that joyful kind of state.
Yes.
Another piece of the puzzle here, and it's something I've said in a lot of episodes, but I can't stress it enough because, you said one thing that's really happy for you is just like watching TikTok, right?
Yeah.
What I would say to any viewer is the idea that comparison is the thief of joy. It cannot be more true in this time, in this space, in this era, right? Like,
right.
It is too easy to compare yourself to the other dancer, the other pretty person,
if you are in that person, like if you're not the person that is like, you go girl, like rock on with your bad self, trying on freaking bathing suits and on camera for millions to see. If you can't be like, you're a badass and feel nothing but like envy,
then don't do it.
Then do not do it.
Yeah.
Do not do it.
That whole comparison to the thief of joy thing is the idea of you got to run your own race. And so to me, one of the things that keeps me in that joyous moment is like small accomplishments, small daily wins. Tactically, as simple as it sounds, to do a daily affirmation.
Yeah.
Like all those things work for me. Like, I'm going to lose weight, but I'm a healthy 40-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. Restating those things over and over and over and say them again and again and again, you can convince yourself of anything. I believe that firmly. And so
I do believe that.
and that goes really to, I'm a joyous person, if you convince yourself of that and say it again and again and again, it's amazing what your mind can do to you and help you in those areas.
Yeah.
When you go to, avoidance doesn't help, that's one thing I would say that's like the anti-joy. When people avoid conversations or issues or they backburn problems, it always gets worse. It never gets better. And so that's one of those things to avoid.
And I think that goes to like not understanding how to deal or even start the conversation of conflict, which is if you can remove the thought altogether that there was nothing intentional about someone's actions or what they did.
Or what they said.
Right. Like the intention was not to be cruel and hurtful or to be a jackass.
Which 99% of the time is the truth.
Is the truth. Then the only thing left is there was a misunderstanding.
Yep.
And that's the only thing that has to be cleared
or
up.
They made a mistake.
Yep. Like, and so if you can get rid of that piece, it really is pretty freeing.
Yep.
Right? And then it goes to expectations. So this is an example about setting good expectations. So girls' night, not even girls' night, random, like, hey, Brynn, you want to come out and have some drinks? Like, there's this band playing, whatever, right? On a weeknight. And as we all know, my preparation and like everything is a very, very important part of my life.
Right.
And like 5 years ago, it would have been like, let me check with the husband. Cool. Everything's off. Like, yes, I'm there. The conversation I had with myself was, if Randy's cool with it, then I need to ask myself, am I willing to come home to a wrecked house? Because I love you, honey, but the house will be wrecked. The dishes will not be done. The house won't be buttoned up. Like, am I willing to do that and know that in the morning, that's what I'm going to wake up to, and be okay with that? Like, is the outing worth it?
Right.
And it was like, yep, sure is. So here we go. And guess what? The house was a total shit show when I got home, but I expected that. So I didn't have to be pissed about it.
That's good.
It was fabulous.
That's very good.
So, finding ways to remove the anger, right? And keep the mind right. Like, again, I know that Randy did not clean up the house, or the kids did not clean up the house because they wanted to stick it to me. It's because it's not his routine. Like, that's not what and it's not his strength. It's not what that's not how he conducts his evenings, right?
That's right.
So it's not about me. And so if you can remove that, I mean, I think that's, like I said, it's freeing, and it allows more joy to enter.
I love it. I've got to weave in something that my spiritual mentor taught me, which really helps me stay in a better, joyous space, which is the 3 G's that I talk about a lot. The 3 G's are the idea of, we talked about gratitude already. So we got to start by focusing on what we have, not what we don't. So what are we grateful for? Number 1. The second one is very difficult for a lot of people, and that's grace. Grace, the best definition I've heard is it's undeserved love. So giving grace to somebody, you were wrong, they were right, and you just let it go. That's giving grace, right? Because that is freeing, and it allows you to stay in your joyous spot. What's really funny to me is how many people harbor ill feelings about an event or something that somebody said 5 years ago. That other person has not thought about that in 5 years. And if you're still thinking about that shit 5 years later, like, it's only hurting you.
Yeah,
it's only robbing you of your joy. So that giving grace and forgiveness in some ways is super, super important in my opinion. And then the last thing is being generous. The 3rd G is being generous. And what I found is that in order to be generous is a requirement of being selfless. It just brings joy. And so one of the ideas, and lots of faiths have different ideas around this, but there's a reason why you feel good about giving generously to other people. Like, one of the best things my dad ever told me when I was a kid, and this is funny, we talk about waiters and waitresses a lot because both of us bartended or waitered or waitressed. And
because it should be a mandatory
I think
event for
all 3 of my kids for sure are going to have to do it. Like, I think it's super mandatory.
Yep.
But one of the things that my dad told me is, he said, I remember that it was one of the very first times I understood what a tip was, and he was leaving some money for a tip. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. Why are you giving that much money? He said, Josh, for a few dollars more, you can be a mensch. And a mensch is a Yiddish word for being just a gentleman, a generous person, a gentleman.
I've literally never heard that word before in my life.
I had a Jewish background growing up. I'm Christian now, but my dad and my brother are Jewish, and for a few dollars more, you can be a mensch. And I
feel like that word sounds like it should be a negative thing.
No, it's a positive one for sure, and it sticks with me because it's so true, right?
Yeah.
Like, you think about,
don't be an asshole. We have a strong family motto.
Yes, don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Well, it's funny, you think about how many people. So most people don't budget in the first place, but the people that do budget. So I look at a lot of people's personal family budgets just to help them out, right? And there's usually a line that says miscellaneous, because there's $1,000 that they can't like figure out where the money went to.
There's no category.
It's no category. It's like Amazon, and they're not really sure what they bought, but it added up to blank or whatever. And so they don't mind fucking off $1,000 in this miscellaneous category, but on a $9 meal, they tip $1 or nothing. It's like, just give them $2. Just give them $2 for a couple dollars
your
more.
Tip card, the calculator, like that you pull out of your wallet.
Just
like, oh, no.
for a couple bucks more, you can be a mensch, And I think that's a really interesting place to come from for generosity's sake, because going back to joy, just yesterday I was sitting down with Tad Chapman, and Tad and I were having, by the way, this guy's top 5 people in my world.
Yeah, he's a lovely, lovely human.
Top 5 humans, like humans that I've ever met. Top 5. And anyways, I was hanging out with Tad, and this lady came up, and we're at a restaurant. We're sitting outside on the patio, and this lady comes up, and she was basically at the restaurant. She walked up and said, "Hey, my daughter needs medicine. I need to get a bus ride down. I don't have any money. Can you give me money?" That kind of conversation. And I looked at her and I said, "Well, how much do you need?" And she told me, and I gave it to her, right? And Tad said, "Do you think that was a con, or do you think it was real?" And I said, "I don't think it matters."
Yeah.
Because right. And my answer was that because if I do that 5 times in a row, they're not all 5 frauds. Mm-hmm. So I actually helped somebody, whether it was 1, 2, or all 5, I helped somebody. Yeah. But I'm not going to penalize the people that need help because I'm going to be like judgmental and just assume that everyone's a fucking thief. So, seriously, just think about that. And so that really is a kind of a guiding force for me, which is the idea of if I'm generous, if I'm gracious, and if I'm grateful, I can stay grounded and be more joyful.
And you can dance around like joy.
Yes.
She just twirls.
What do they say? Happy fingers or whatever.
Spirit fingers.
Whatever you'd say.
Spirit
you little
fingers.
dancer, tiny dancer.
Tiny. Tiny.
The last tactic I can give would go back to this concept of driven, drifting, and directed. And this is a really important piece because this works outside of the office just like it does inside the office. So it's worth talking about. When you think about drive is a good thing till it's not, because drive usually comes at a cost, right? So you look at most people that work 20 hours a week to get whatever they want in life. Kudos to them. And it usually is at the expense of their 30s, or at the expense of their spouse, or at the expense of something, right?
Did you say 20 hours a week?
20 hours 20 hours a day, sorry. 20 hours a day. Like people that, which I've done before, so don't get me wrong, but
for sure.
I'll work with the best of them, and then all of a sudden my kids are 5, and I'm like, what the hell happened to my kids' age, right?
No kidding, yeah.
So the idea of drive is a good thing until it's not. And so if you recognize that eventually you get where your destination is, it's not quite as sweet as you thought it would be, is a good understanding early.
Or you're just freaking exhausted. Exhausted. Like,
it's usually no destination is really as sweet as you thought it was going to be, is the point, right?
It's just,
and then drifting doesn't work. So people that stick their fucking heads in the ground and like don't make goals and don't adapt and don't plan and don't try to achieve, because God forbid they should miss their goal, and they just blame, and they're the worst word in the English language would be a victim. Like, don't think in terms of like you were attacked. I get that.
Right.
But the victim mentality of I was born here to this family in this city at this time is bullshit, in my opinion. Like there's examples in every race, religion, creed, age group, and country that a successful person came out of absolute nothing.
100%.
And so that victim mentality doesn't work for me.
Nope.
And that's that drifting. It's just like, I am where I am because this is where I drifted to.
This is where I
and that's a horrible feeling, and it's impossible to stay and joy there. Yeah. And so the last piece is being directed. And so when you think about outside the office, if you're directed by a spiritual leader or your God, you're going to be in a better place. If you're taking direction from a spouse, you're typically going to be in a better spot. If you are,
I think this goes to we play a ton of baseball, and people are like, how do you do that? It's like, hey, you know how they say, like, if you keep your kids busy, it keeps them out of trouble? Yep. Like, I believe that to be true for our whole family. Like, we are busy.
Idle hands do the devil's work.
We're busy all the time. We got someplace to be. So that means there's no time to be where we don't need to be.
Yep.
It's just, it's a very directed way. Like, here's what we're doing on the weekends. Like,
and that's where I would kind of end my part of the conversation here is, I want to, like I just listed, said Tad Chapman's top 5 humans in my life. Mm-hmm. Well, I hang out with him a lot. I talk to him a lot. I do Bible study with him a lot. I do lunches and coffees with him a lot, separate of business, and I want to surround myself with people that are talking about tomorrow, not yesterday. Mm-hmm. I want to work with people that understand that we are all fallible and make mistakes, but are going to work on improving them and owning those mistakes. And people that live in joy and not rely on me to make them happy. And so when I really get down to that simplest answer, that's how you can elevate yourself in joy outside the office.
I love that. I love it. All right, go be joyous. You know what would bring a lot of joy to your life? Go ahead and click that subscribe button.
Like, subscribe, share, ask questions.
Don't forget that there's the short sense page, so you can get very small doses, best 3 to 8 minutes of every episode right there. So check it out, and we'll see you guys.
See you guys next time.
See you guys next time.
See you guys next time, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.